This week's champion trends feature Lee Sin, Nasus, Rumble, Anivia, Rengar, and Fiddlesticks. I'm Lindsay Geektron of Cloth 5, and this is LolKing's League Trends. Let's dive into Summoner's Rift. The increases in pick rate for this week are headed up by Dr. Mundo with a 4.39% change, followed by Draven, Sivir, Thresh, and Lee Sin, rounding out the top 5. Lee Sin is the deadliest blind person you will ever meet in your life. Due to support starting with a gold generation item and less wards, Riot is trying to make everyone feel the same way this guy does, blind and rich. Lee Sin has always been one of the most aggressive junglers, and now he's able to make plays in the early game more effectively than before due to his mobility and damage. He has one of the most versatile kits in the game, which gives him more opportunities to create plays than other champs. One of the most well-known setups originates from the pro scene. The Insect usually revolves around Lee Sin going into the enemy's backline and landing Dragon's Rage on a high-priority target, which kicks the target back towards his team. We will continue to see Lee Sin being played more and more in this low vision and high mobility meta. Champions with the largest decrease in pick rate for the past week were led by Vayne with a negative 2.05% change from last week, followed by Sona, Nasus, Fiddlesticks, and Udyr. The doggy is leaving Summoner's Rift as his pick rate starts to drop. He's being outpicked by other top laners like Dr. Mundo, Olaf, Shyvana, and Renekton. Let's be honest here, Nasus has a bit of a boring playstyle. You farm your siphoning strike stacks for 30 minutes or longer depending if your team has lost the game yet. Once you are all strong and mighty, you run into the enemy team and try to two-shot their carries. I guess you could think of it like a time bomb that has a really long timer. With the new defensive masteries, Nasus is by no means a weak pick. He's able to take advantage of the second wind he has. With his passive Soul Eater and Perseverance, his laning phase is a tad bit easier because he has increased sustain in lane. You should be continuing to see the doggy in your solo queue games either being played or banned for the most part. Following are the champs with the largest increase in win rate for this week. Lulu leads with 1.68%. Followed by Zillion, Urgot, Victor, and Rumble. It's a little surprising to see this guy making it to the increased win rate club, as he has not seen much play as of late. The current meta top laners right now are incredibly tanky with a lot of self-sustain. Rumble simply just doesn't fit this role. But against champions like Jax, he's highly effective, and is able to bully him out in lane. Even though Rumble can be really strong in the early to mid game, he simply won't have the damage to deal with the tanky frontline like Shyvana or Dr. Mundo. You can also never quite count on his game-changing ultimate, the Equalizer, but you can always count on solo queue players to stay in the burn effect or even walk right into it. Come on, I know you guys have all done it. Our next top 5 champions are heading up the largest decrease in win rate. They are Anivia with a negative 1.56% change, followed by Taric, Fiddlesticks, Singed, and Rammus. Guess what the word is? That's right, the bird is the word. Unfortunately, Anivia is not the bird that we all hope that she can be, as she leads the decreases in win rate on Summoner's Rift. Due to the lack of vision in the early game, roaming mid laners have been much more rewarding than farming ones. Anivia might be a bird, but she's about as fast as a turtle. The opposing mid lane will most likely be able to freely roam and try to kill your duo lanes. Let's also not forget that wall of hers. Sometimes I'm just glad that there isn't an Anivia on my team. She probably won't be seeing much play or gaining any win rate as she is currently not in a very strong state. But hey, her visual update is looking pretty nice. Champions with an increase in ban rate for this week are led up by Dr. Mundo with a 7.31% change, followed by Evelynn, Lucian, Shyvana, and Rengar rounding out the top 5. He can either be a ferocious beast or a little pussycat depending on the player. Rengar has become a terror in the top lane as we get into Season 4. During the laning phase, he is able to sustain endlessly with his battle roar and bullies out his lane opponent. When he hits level 6, he is able to take advantage of his ultimate to roam and pick up kills. The popular build on Rengar right now is going Sunfire Cape and Spirit Visage before any other damage items. This build allows you to be immovable from the top lane and lends itself when he split pushes out like a monster. Typically, after those items, you go for your Bone Tooth Necklace and then a Triforce. At this point, it's difficult to lose stacks because he's so difficult to kill, while Triforce allows you to take down towers in seconds. At this rate, Rengar will continue to be one of the most difficult champions to deal with in the top lane going into Season 4. Finally, the decreases in ban rate this week are led by Nidalee with a 6.23%, followed by Ari, Zed, Fizz, and Fiddlesticks. He doesn't have a brain, and at this rate he won't have a role on Summoner's Rift either. Going into Season 4, Fiddlesticks was getting outshined by up-and-coming supports like Tarek and Karma. Now with the nerf on his fear, it will make him even less desirable. Even though his fear duration got increased in the early levels, at max level it's reduced by a total of 25%. Mercury Treads reduces the fear from 2.25 seconds to around 1.5 seconds, making it much easier to work with if you're playing against him. Fiddlesticks will continue to dominate ARAMs with his surprise parties, but he will continue to lose popularity on Summoner's Rift. And that's it for this week's show. Please be sure to subscribe to LolKing on YouTube to keep up on these league trends, and be sure to subscribe to Cloth5 on YouTube for more great analysis. I'm Lindsay Geektron. Thanks for watching.